Good Friday afternoon, and thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. Just into the newsroom, our news partners at NPR News have gotten a new statement from Becca Good, the wife of the woman shot and killed by an ICE agent earlier this week. In the statement, Renee Good's wife thanks everyone who has reached out to her family, calling all the kindness from strangers a fitting tribute for Renee, since, quote, kindness radiated out of her. She says everyone who knew her knew she sparkled, saying she was made of sunshine. Also new this afternoon, new reaction to the shooting and to the investigation into it. This morning, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty and Attorney General Keith Ellison spoke out about the Minnesota BCA withdrawing from the investigation into the shooting after the FBI took over the case. Moriarty says it is essential that Minnesota investigators are able to collect and preserve evidence for a local investigation. So they are asking the public to send them any videos or evidence they may have.
And we wanted to make sure that as the moments go by, every moment in these cases is precious. And, it is important that people know where they can go to share the evidence that they have in their possession.
That QR code to share is on your screen right now. You'll also find it on the Hennepin County Attorney's website. County Attorney Mary Moriarty emphasized again today that they do feel they have jurisdiction to charge this if warranted, but she admitted that could be difficult without FBI cooperation, since the FBI has a lot of key evidence, such as Renee Good's car. And remember, federal and local law enforcement initially said that they would work together on this investigation. Minneapolis city leader speaking out about that decision this morning.
So our ask is really simple here. Our ask is to embrace the truth. Our ask is to include the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension in this process, because we in Minneapolis want a fair investigation. Is it deeply concerning that this administration from the very get-go is drawing the conclusion that they may ultimately come to? Of course it is. And if you got nothing to hide from, then don't hide from it.
Well, this comes as Vice President J.D. Vance told reporters that ICE agents have absolute immunity from state charges. That's a statement that legal experts dispute.
The idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity, I've never seen anything like that.
The Vice President is wrong. There are claims in some cases of federal immunity. I do not believe that would apply in this case.
While blanket immunity is being disputed there are some legal protections for federal agents. Legal experts say a judge would have to decide if the agent acted reasonably within their federal duties. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says the reason Minnesota was cut out of the investigation is that they have no jurisdiction in the case. Also today, teachers and families in the Minneapolis Public School District are speaking out about immigration enforcement near and at their schools. It comes after this incident at Roosevelt High School on Wednesday. The district canceled classes the rest of the week after this. DHS tells us a U.S. citizen was trying to impede Border Patrol and rammed his vehicle into a government car, which then started a 5-mile chase that ended at Roosevelt. According to agents on scene, someone who says they were a teacher, quote, assaulted a Border Patrol agent. Minneapolis Public Schools says they're investigating what happened. Right now, people around the country are standing in solidarity with Renee Good and her community, holding up signs declaring, "Say her name, Renee Good." Ian Russell learned more today about the 37-year-old mother whose death is at the center of this firestorm.
We're learning new information about Renee Good, the 37-year-old who was shot and killed by a federal immigration agent Wednesday morning. Good's family tells our affiliate in Denver that she's from the Colorado Springs area and had recently lived in Missouri.
She's from here. One of her own was just murdered in cold blood. For what reason?
Former neighbors of hers in Kansas City, Missouri say they remember Good as a good mother to her children.
A neighbor who, is not a terrorist, not an extremist. That was just a mom who loved her kids, loved her spouse.
Neighbors there tell our Kansas City NBC affiliate that Good had moved out about 8 months ago. We know from social media posts that Good liked poetry. The Old Dominion University English department posted this picture in 2020 after Good won a poetry prize. The Associated Press spoke to an ex-husband of Goods who says she was on her way home after dropping off her 6-year-old child Wednesday morning when this all happened. That man also tells the AP that Good has 2 other children from a previous marriage.
Well, he also did tell the AP that he never knew Good to be an activist and that he had never known her to participate in a protest of any kind. This situation is rapidly changing as new details come in, and we're working to get you accurate information once we verify it. So stay with Kare 11 on the air, online, and on Kare 11 Plus for the latest updates. Taking a look now from our nation's capital this morning, where a proposal to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies is heading to the Senate. Yesterday, 17 House Republicans voted with Democrats to approve a 3-year extension. Those subsidies expired at the end of 2025 and were the biggest sticking point in last year's record-breaking government shutdown. Turning to health news now, new flu data from the Minnesota Department of Health shows nearly 3,000 people have been hospitalized statewide. So far, no pediatric deaths have been reported. The flu continues to spread in schools and long-term care facilities, with more than 170 school outbreaks and nearly 60 in long-term care settings. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Department of Health says it will now look to professional medical groups instead of the CDC for its vaccine guidance. That comes after the CDC revised its childhood immunization schedule, dropping the number of vaccines from 18 to 11. MDH claims the federal change does not reflect, quote, the best available science and didn't follow intensive scientific review. Just in this afternoon, the Department of Homeland Security is launching a new investigation into refugees in Minnesota. According to DHS, Operation Paris will re-examine thousands of refugee cases through new background checks and verification of refugee claims. And they'll begin referring cases of fraud to immigration authorities. This week, the Office of the Legislative Auditor released a report finding state employees fabricated records to cover up mismanagement of money. It's another black eye for the State Department of Human Services. Kare 11's Lou Raguse sat down with the legislative auditor.
This was definitely the most egregious thing I have seen. Maybe in my whole time working at OLA.
After 27 years with the Office of the Legislative Auditor, a statement like that from Judy Randall means something. After past suspicions, she says her most recent audit proved state workers were fabricating documents to cover up mismanagement of taxpayer money.
So these documents should exist. They didn't. We asked for them. All of a sudden, they now exist. And in at least one case, it was created wholesale and backdated by 2 years to give the impression that it had always been there and been done on time.
The OLA audited the Behavioral Health Administration within the Department of Human Services, which issues grants, nearly $200 million of taxpayer money each year, to addiction and mental health service providers. But the audit found BHA was not making sure those providers were doing the work.
BHA didn't conduct the site visits. Our auditors went and conducted the site visits that BHA should have done. And we identified serious concerns that services weren't being provided.
One of the grants examined by OLA was $1.6 million issued to the Wellness Collaborative through Zion Baptist Church in North Minneapolis. According to the OLA report, BHA didn't have documentation to give auditors to show that the services were rendered. What's more, the audit says the grant manager directly profited by leaving BHA and months later providing consulting services to the Wellness Collaborative for the grant she managed, which Randall says is not illegal.
But I think it raises a bunch of ethical questions at the very least.
Representatives at Zion strongly dispute what BHA and DHS told the auditors. They tell Kare 11 DHS sought them out for the grant. They provided services which DHS workers witnessed. They gave DHS documentation, and they say now they believe they're being scapegoated. The former grant manager told Kare 11 any wrongdoing falls squarely on DHS.
Conduct a monitoring visit to make sure the services are actually being provided. These aren't rocket science types of things.
Randall says the audit found fewer than 1 in 5 DHS workers they surveyed felt adequately trained to scrutinize how the grant money is spent. And perhaps most frustrating, this was the second audit of the Behavioral Health Administration, and many of the problems found were repeat problems.
What is it like to see these problems, make these recommendations, and nothing is done to fix it?
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Governor Tim Walz's office says they're grateful to the auditor for her work and for identifying these serious issues. Stick with us. There is more news and weather coming up after the break.